We're doing a sequel. We're back by popular demand.
Hey there, folks. I am going to admit to you that I have a little bit of egg on my face right now. So last week I posted a video debunking the outright ridiculous Republican lie that trans people make up a disproportionate rate of violent shooters in the United States. Now, to clarify, that portion of the video is 100% correct. In fact, the majority of my video is 100% correct. But I made the claim that nobody could find a source for these graphs which were used to justify that ridiculous Republican lie. I specifically pointed out that the Daily Wire discussed this graph and even left a spot for them to post the source and didn't post the source as evidence that they probably could not find any source. Now, as it turns out, that was a mistake. They didn't not post the source because they couldn't find it. They didn't post it because it is absolutely humiliating. I'm embarrassed that I couldn't find this information before. I'm assuming there must be some link or some source or something that I missed, so I'm issuing a correction now. But a commenter pointed this out to me, and I'm very much grateful to them. If you need any context behind the graphs, still just go back and watch that original video. Like I said, the majority of it is correct, but I'm assuming that you have the context now, so allow me to present to you the creator of the stupid anti-trans graphs. Frank McCormick is an ex-teacher who exposed woke schools, and he decided that it would be worthwhile to have real, hard data showing that trans people suck and are violent and are scary and spooky and all of the other adjectives that you might want to add to them. Now, initially when I saw this tweet thread, I was a little bit worried because there's a bunch of sources down there and it was going to take me a ton of work to parse through all of the information that he parsed through to make those graphs, and it was going to be annoying, and I felt, an obligation to make a follow-up, and it was going to be a bunch of work and really, really annoying. It just turns out I actually don't have to do that. The reason I say this is because Mr. McCormick tells us exactly how he got these numbers. So just as a refresher, according to McCormick's graph, 0.769 per million trans women / and this isn't my favorite term by any stretch, AMAB, non-binary people commit mass shootings with 4+ fatalities. Now I'm going to ask you, based off of this graph, based off of the numbers that we're presented with, how many mass shooters is he basing that number off of? Now, you must assume it has to be a large number, right, in order to get this massive of a population statistic. So I'll narrow it down a little bit. It's less than 10. Okay. But I'll narrow it down a little bit further than that. It's less than 5. And I'm going to be honest with you. Looking at these numbers, looking at the fact that he specifically says trans / non-binary, you would assume it has to at least be 2, right? In order for there to be a trans woman and a non-binary person. And if you assume that, you're a stupid idiot who doesn't understand conservative politics. That number is based off of one person. One singular person. That is how he got that per million statistic. One single human being. But it gets worse, because the one singular non-binary person, by the way, not a trans woman, that he based that off of is the fucking fake trans shooter from Club Q. The one person that he is getting this population statistic from is the guy who shot up an LGBT nightclub and then cynically pretended to be non-binary afterwards. If you were wondering why Matt Walsh didn't share his source for this claim, or why Jesse Waters never gave his source for this claim, it's because it's fucking insane. It's coming from a sample size of 32 total shootings, of which 2 of them were committed by trans people. Sorry, 1 of them, because as we've established, 1 of them is fake. So he is basing all of this information off of 1 trans guy and 0 trans women and 0 non-binary people. This is what passes for conservative journalism. Just to remind you, my original video covered some of the actual statistics on this subject coming from the Secret Service, from the Gun Violence Archive, from, I believe, the Violence Project. This is unscripted if you couldn't tell. And the lowest sample size that I used was a little under 200. So conservatives are basing their stupid worldview off of 1 single Twitter user who used a sample size of 32, ignored tons of other instances of mass violence, who used a cisgender person in place of a non-binary person in order to get his numbers. And I'm expected to take this some semblance of seriously. Like, I legitimately felt kind of awkward and bad using like 178, I think it was, sample size survey in my original video, because that's just such a small number. It's so hard to glean anything from that. And here it turns out I didn't have to worry. But rest assured, Frank has responded to criticism on this front, and I think what he has to say is very interesting. So let me give you one example. This is what he says. You can take issue that the data set is small, 32 mass shootings and 2 trans shooters, really 1. But this is the game many have been playing when taking 82 white male mass shooters since 1982 and using that to lecture us about how dangerous white men are. You can't have it both ways. So just to be clear, this guy's best defense of his shitty work is admitting that it was stupid and ridiculous, and then just saying, well, other people did something stupid and ridiculous, so I can lie as much as I want. In case you're wondering, the statistics on white male mass shooters, some of which we covered in the original video, are actually concerning and go a little bit deeper than just saying, oh, there were 82 since 1982. So yeah, this guy is a joke. Anyone spreading this graph is a joke and deserves to be made fun of endlessly. And I am so sorry that I didn't catch this before. I mean, this would have been like really good content for that video, because holy shit, these people are stupid. They're liars. They think that you're stupid. And, you know, something else insulting that I can't come up with on the fly. Thanks for watching this little update. And if this is what passes for journalism in conservative spaces, I think, and this is something that, you know, they can make a living off of, that they can go viral over, I think you should consider subscribing to me for having done significantly more work than any of these people have ever done in their lives. And I, to be clear, didn't have to do much work here. But yeah, press the subscribing buttons and the liking buttons. Consider the Patreon and the YouTube memberships and all of the things down below. Clearly, there is a much lower bar than I thought there was in this space.